save the children. How about a woman birthed in hurricanes with a kinetic vision? A person fighting to protect humanity from becoming victims. Have you ever seen a mutant teach his powers in the school? You a vigilante live to be the exception to the rule. These truths flash like every Allen breed of justice is a tool. So equality can find the needed strength to overrule. Remaining on beat like the Hill Street Blues. Copy comics daily as the planet writes the street news. Find Clark and Lewis, investigating leads, collecting clues. Where the Cape Crusader wars corruption from beneath the avenue. So many stories designed to capture you, like a trapper do. Drawn so masterful, they'll dazzle you with skills unimaginable. Like a fanatic. Set his dash wars for the love. Is how we stamp dopeness on the channel. Sig Slayer #1. Sig Slayers. Nobody does it better. Like Denzel in the comic realm, I'm the bone collector. Building with the artifacts, graphics, applying pressure. Using creative talents is how we bring it all together. Sig Slayers. Legendary business minds paying homage to the comic book artists, the writers, the vast knowledge shared in all our projects. Trust, we keep it popping. Showing love to our band, it's your best believe we're never stopping. Sig Slayers. And best believe we're never stopping. Building with the legends, copy the hottest comics on the market. The greatest minds dropping mind-boggling stories off there. Keep an imitator's career in a coffin. Sig Slayers.
Yo, welcome to Sig Slayers, the comic signature show, period. I'm Mike the Sig Slayer, and for the first of many times, we have Tony, the signature king, to join us today. What's up, Tony? How you doing, fam?
Yeah, I'm great. I can't complain. How's life in your neck of the woods?
I feel so blessed that I'm associated with comic book royalty, so thank you, Your Highness, for joining us today, man. It's going to be good. Tony is going to be here to share with us, along with myself, our 2023 signature highlights. What books did the Sig Slayer and the Signature King decide? But before we reveal our list, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and please comment. All right, Tony, are you ready to talk comics, my man?
Let's do it.
All right, man. So first off, before we dive into the list, we're wrapping up 2023. This is the last show I'm gonna do for the year before we kick off 2024. The Signature King is here with the Sig Slayer. We were like at the apex of the signature thing. What was your overall highlight of the year, Tony?
Oh, we had a local convention in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and that was a much improved convention. They took feedback very well, and they brought it back for year 2 with a vengeance. And it was a wonderful experience, and they got the kids to go out and experience, one of their first kind of major cons. So it was great to see them interact and play with all the old toys that I used to play with. So it was a ton of fun.
Any names there? Any artists or any Sigs you pick up?
Yes,
that day?
Stan De La Rosa, Joe Stanton, or Roy Thomas.
Wow, you talking about legends?
Absolute legends.
These guys are like foundational dudes. I mean, the creator Kilowog in the mix. I mean, geez, Roy Thomas. Yeah. Oh wow.
Roy Thomas, he's up there, and if he's not in the Hall of Fame, he definitely should be.
Did you get any Roy Thomas things while you there?
Tons of Roy Thomas.
What? Okay. Well, okay. So, all right. That's a later show.
Yeah, later show.
I have none. So, I am curious to find out. All right. So, what was your best creator experience for the year?
That's an easy question to answer. So this year was Baltimore Comic-Con, and none other than the legendary Jeff Johns showed up. So of course I had to get some Jeff Johns bling, some passes, a couple of them, 3 VIP passes to get what I wanted signed. So I got to meet him for the first time in my whole life, and it was awesome. Even the brief interaction we had, it was fantastic. All the classic stories he wrote, and it was like being amongst like A-list celebrities. You know what I mean? It was crazy. So in a good way. He was very friendly. His staff was great. He answered questions. We talked a little bit at Geiger.
Okay.
And, it's just a wonderful experience. I can't wait to do it again.
Obviously, you're a huge Jeff Johns fan. When you think Jeff Johns and you go back, your furthest memory of some of his work that you love, what comes to mind?
When I was in the service, I got my hands on, for the first time ever, it had come out when I was overseas, but Blackest Night. So,
man, I don't care. I don't care what anyone says, Tony. Blackest Night is the best DC maxi series of all time. It's better than the First Crisis. Yes, I said that. It's not as pivotal as the First Crisis, but as far as story and fun to read and easy to digest and beautiful art, I'm not saying that Yvonne Reese is better than George Perez. I'm just saying Blackest Night is better than the First Crisis. That's all. Tony, I gotta say, for me, one highlight for me was the Red Hood reunion we had earlier this year.
Yeah.
It was Judd Winnick, Doug Mahnke, Tom Wynn, and the Sultan of Shade, Allison Clare. I can't believe, the Batman fan in me, I can't believe I was able to do that and talk about what inspired Judd to even create Jason Todd as the Red Hood. And what I love about it, it was solely as a comic book fan. He read Hush like we all did, but he had the benefit of being on the writing staff at DC and was like, you know what? He left this low-hanging fruit here for me. And so that's why I love Batman Under the Hood, because it's like a de facto sequel to the Hush, because he put the nail in the coffin and made Jason Todd legit and brought him back with no innuendo. So I really love that and was able to bring that back. So that was like one big experience for me. And then best creator experience, I'll have to say Kelly Jones. Jeff Johns, I can say Jeff Johns every year. The dude is, I think he's the GOAT. I think he's the best. And
he is the GOAT.
Hands down. Hands down. And I feel so happy for you because you met him for the first time this year. And so I wish I could, relive that excitement all over again. Like that's just amazing. And so for me, Kelly Jones, just off the fact, I met him before, but I was always, and I'm pretty sure you can relate to this, Tony, like where you being at a con and someone was there that you didn't know about and you wish you had your books, you wish you were ready and you weren't ready. I wasn't ready. And so I saw Kelly Jones twice and I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? So, and so now I knew, and I had months and months to prepare for him. And the number one question we all ask, whoever, the powers that be, the showrunners, whatever, how much, right? So, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure he's free? Are you sure he's free? Are you sure he's free? Yes, he's free. Yes, he's free. Oh my God. So month after month, I'm just confirming that he's free, because I'm buying every Detective Comics and Batman issue that I can grab, because they're cheap books, but Kelly Jones had this massive run during the 90s. So I was like, if he's free, I'm going ham. And in fact, 77 books at Shortbox Con in Santa Clara. So I was right across the street from where the 49ers play. And it was pretty cool. Levi Stadium at some hotel. And on a Sunday, a con on a Sunday. And I got 77 free Kelly Jones. So that was awesome. Yeah, 77. So I would have to say that's my highlight. And I got a sketch, and I got some remarks, some bat logos. I mean, and a partridge in a pear tree. I mean, I got it all. I got it all. So that has to be my top creator experience. Jeff Johns for you said, right?
Oh, hands down, yeah.
And your highlight experience was HersheyCon in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're moving on. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of today's show. And that is our best signed comics from this year. We're choosing 5 books each, and we're gonna go one by one, right? But Tony, you kick it off, starting with number 5.
Number 5, and by all means, just because number 5 definitely doesn't mean it was not a contender for number 1.
Okay.
It's Mark Waid, Shazam number 1, the current volume of Shazam. This is a great book. I love Mark Waid. I love Shazam. So this was an easy no-brainer for me. And the cover, this Virgin cover, was awesome. So it was easy, definitely sneaking into the top 5.
Man, so Shazam, the latest Shazam book by Mark Waid.
Yep. getting more on the art, so it's awesome.
And that's another legend too, man. Jeez, like I gotta go with number 5 for me. I don't even know how this happened. I can't even like, it was like one of those Tooth Fairy Santa Claus type of situations. But I came out of 2023 with about 11 Bruce Timm Sigs, and it was just crazy. Like it's crazy. And so my first one is Batman Adventures 1, signed by Bruce Timm. And I would say number 5, I'd say Batman Adventures number 1, signed by Bruce Timm. Batman Adventures is the comic book adaptation of Batman the Animated Series. And Batman the Animated Series, for me, is kind of like my genesis. It's where kind of like I got like into DC. It exposed me to a lot of their secondary and tertiary characters that made me want to explore further in the comic book medium. And so getting the first issue of that is kind of like, to me, I mean, I know the Harley Quinn first appearance is like the it book of the 90s for DC. But for me, as a Bruce Timm, Paul Dini fan, I had to go with Batman Adventures 1 because it kind of started it all for me. I didn't know who Jon Stewart was until they had Justice League. Like, so many things. Etrigan, I mean, so many just characters they introduced. And so, yeah, Batman Adventures 1 for me, number 5. Number 4 for you, Tony. What you got?
Number 4. This one is a great book. It is the Blue Beetle number 1 reprint, foil reprint. Which is, I think, the first kind of introduction of Blue Beetle. This kind of came out with the movie, signed by the legendary, talented Cully Hemner in this beautiful paint pen, which really pops on the foil cover, making it definitely a jewel in the crown gem for sure. Cully Hemner was a great guy, signed a bunch of stuff for free. Definitely shout out to him, or if you ever get a chance to meet him, definitely jump in line. It's worth it. Even if you don't have anything to sign, just for a high five, a handshake, and just talking books with him is great. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he's very much looking forward to the future, which gets me excited about the future. So tip of the hat to you, Mr. Cully Hemner, sir.
And so this is Blue Beetle number 1, like right in the wake of Infinite Crisis. So this is the reprint of that. So this is when they kind of started doing Jaime with his own run. And,
yes.
Okay. And I saw that variant. It's a very beautifully illustrated cover. I love the colors in that. First for me this year, getting 2 Gabrielle Delato signatures this year.
Oof.
And so there was a book that I got as a gift. Action Comics 1000, the Bulletproof Comics Virgin variant. And it's completely, it looks like Christopher Reeves chilling on his Fortress of Solitude throne, just meditating, whatever, contemplating about saving the world. And I got Gabrielle Delato, and I have the black and white variant of this, and it's completely tatted up, man, completely, right? But I wanted to keep the color one just for Gabrielle. I was like, if I ever get Gabrielle on this, I'm just gonna leave it at that. And so the fact that I was able to do that is insane. So it had to make my top 5. so number 4, Action Comics 1000 Virgin variant, signed by the one and only Gabrielle Delato. All right, what you got? Number 3. Ooh, we getting there. We getting down the wire.
Number 3 is this one was a little bit tough for me to pick because the options were just so abundant. But I'm going to go with the current run of Green Lantern, number 1, foil, signed by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who I've been actually getting to know throughout the years. I mean, we're not swapping memes on Instagram or anything. We're not buds yet, but who knows? Maybe we'll get there. But he is just a great guy. He's done a lot of work for DC. He's definitely an up and coming for sure. I could see him going a lot of places. I met his whole family. They're all great. He's just a really down-to-earth guy. Another guy who signs for either free or a couple of bucks in the bucket for the Hero Initiative. So that's also a wonderful cause. And he wants to talk to fans, which is great. So if you get up there and you're ready to sign a book, boy, he's going to talk your ear off in a good way. And it's just great to get his insight on the comic book community as a whole. So, and he's active Army. So that's kind of weird for me being an Army veteran to see another active Army veteran writing comic books while he's also serving. So I don't know where he has the time, because I sure didn't have any time. But whatever works. So yeah, he's a great guy. Again, I can't recommend Philip Kennedy Johnson enough. So it looks great on this beautiful foil Green Lantern cover.
And that's your number 3, Green Lantern number 1. And that's also a Jeremy Adams book.
Yes.
And he's a former guest on the show. I interviewed him this year. That could have been a highlight. Interviewed him this year, right as he was ending Flash and starting that Green Lantern. And it was a very emotional episode because he did not want to leave Flash. So yeah, that's your number 3, right?
That's it. Yes, sir.
All right, my number 3. Okay, before I even go to my number 3, I have to ask you this question. Of your 5, is there any Jeff Johns books in there? Because you talked about Jeff Johns being your best creator experience.
There might be.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I'm like, that would be odd if if you know. But you're the signature king. You have a lot of subjects. You know what I mean? So, you know, it may have not made the cut. You know, but for me, of the 5 for this year, this is the Jeff Johns book that made the cut for me. And it's 3 Jokers, number 3, the 1 out of 450 variant. Some people call it the hidden variant, but not many people have seen this book. I mean, obviously, if you're a Jason Fabok fan, you've seen this book. If you're a hardcore Jeff Johns fan, you've seen this book. But the average comic book fan may have not seen this book, and it was hard to get. Shout out to Earth Tooth Comics. That's how I got this book. It's safe to say I went gaga over 3 Jokers. I bought every single cover that exists for 3 Jokers I own. And I love the story. I love the art. And this was one of those books that I wanted to get signed by all 3. So this book was signed earlier this year by Jeff Johns at WonderCon. And then just a couple months ago at New York City Comic Con by Jason Fabok and colorist extraordinaire Brad Anderson. And so I'm happy. 3 Jokers, number 3, the 1 out of 450 variant. That's Mike's, the Sig Slayers, number 3. Tony, getting down to number 2, baby. What you got?
We are. And this is a great number 2. So I have the Fan Expo exclusive, limited to 500, Batman Beyond 2023 reprint signed by Rick Burchett. And it is great. It fits right there in your animated series universe. So this one was definitely a treasure for sure. And I cannot wait to possibly expand on this book, maybe getting some more things signed by it or on it. But boy, this is definitely one I'm going to hold on to for a long time. So, and it's going to look great because I love Batman Beyond. We've been begging for probably just under, it feels like a century for some kind of movie, but who knows? Maybe it'll come. But yeah, number 2, Batman Beyond, Fan Expo exclusive for 2023.
Signed by Rick Burchett, someone who I met once. I have one book signed by him, but every other time, once again, I didn't have no books for him. You know, at that particular con, there was, one con where I met him years ago, and I was able to get something from him. So, Rick Burchett, man, that one hurts, man. I'm loving that pick right now. I'm loving that pick. All right, so for me, number 2 and number 1, I'm going to do number 2 first, but they also coincide with 2 of my top overall pickups as well. So these are books that I've been targeting, or I, came up on, and of 2023. So number 2 coming down the list is Legends of the Dark Knight, Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. I want to say 49 Six Flags variant.
Okay.
It was from 2019. Barely anyone received it because it was given out at Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia, California, and then a year later the whole world shut down. So there's literally on the CGC census, I believe 7 total books in the census, and maybe 3 of them are gold label. Mine is probably the 3rd one ever signed by Jim Lee, and the first with this cool bat logo with Jim Lee that I got at Torpedo Con earlier this year, and also signed by the Gradient General Alice Sinclair as well. And if you are lucky enough to get this book, shout out to Cruisers Through Comics in Valencia, California. It's so funny that they actually got a book that was given away out there, but shout out to them. Shout out to John at Cruising Through. If you do get your hands on this book, do not have Scott Williams sign it. This is not one of those books where the Holy Trinity did. It's just the 2 of the 3. So this is just Jim Lee and Alice Sinclair. So number 2 for me is the Six Flags Batman Legends of the Dark Knight, signed by Jim Lee and Alice Sinclair. All right. We're down to the wire, Tony. Number one.
Yes.
Drum roll, please. What do you have?
So I have a possibly a very predictable number 1 for me, but it is the A cover for Blackest Night, signed by Jeff Johns. Of course, not only does his signature and meeting him, that's phenomenal for me, but like the story itself as well, and how epic it was, and how it pretty much was a pivotal changing point in the DC universe. He was able to bring back some of the characters that didn't exist anymore, or retire some of the characters he didn't really want to move forward with. And this really set up DC in the future in a very positive way. So, and even to this day, this is not only one of the greatest DC stories of all time, it's one of the greatest Jeff Johns stories of all time, it's one of the greatest Green Lantern stories of all time. I can't talk enough about Blackest Night. It's also one of my personal favorites of all time as well. So this one is near and dear to my heart, and will always stay that way for sure. So very excited. Jeff Johns number 1, Blackest Night. Very happy to have this one in my collection. Happy to meet him, and looking forward to getting more Blackest Night stuff signed in the future. Okay, so it begs the question. I said Blackest Night is the GOAT story, like DC wide, because it's a DC wide story. It's not just a Green Lantern story, right? Yeah. Where would you rank it? Is it top 3, top 5, top 10? For me, it's definitely going to be in the top 3.
Okay. Top 3, right? Like it's up there. It's to me, especially during that time, it was such a fun time of reading and collecting during that time. And Blackest Night was one of the few times the hardcore DC, the hardcore Marvel fans all had their kumbaya moment and was like, this is cool. We agree. This is cool. And like the Marvel fans was like, yeah, this is cool for DC. You know what I mean? Like even for DC, this is cool. But everyone had that kumbaya moment. Like it was pretty much a flawless story. So man, kudos to you. Yeah. Blackest Night number 1, signed by the one and only Jeff Johns. That is the signature king, numero uno pick. I love it.
Yes.
Now, this here, rewinding back to the end of 2022, last year, December to be exact, like almost like dead on a year ago, I was like, okay, I want to hunt for this book. Like I need to get this book before something happens, and then I'm going to get priced out and I'm going to be sad. So That book was Batman Beyond #1, first print. And I shout out to Spiro's Heroes in Chatsworth, California, because those guys called me and was like, look, I know you were looking for this. We have 2. I was like, whoa, okay, great. So dig this, Tony. So I get Batman Beyond #1, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm able to fulfill this goal. A lot of times I strike out on your #1 book that you want to get because you don't want to like play yourself on the price. You don't want to overpay either. You know what I mean? So it's like either you take the L and keep it moving, or you take the win. I got the win. But what made it the cherry on top, I didn't have the book a full week before Bruce Timm signed it. I didn't have this book a full solid week, and it was signed by Bruce Timm. And I was like, it was meant to be. Like, how does this happen? Like, how does this happen? So
that's incredible.
Yeah. So Batman Beyond #1 is my #1 book because it was the #1 book that I wanted to get in general, because I'm always on a prowl for Batman character first appearances, and especially affordable ones. Because I'll tell you something about Batman. It's only a matter of time before said first appearance becomes expensive. Think about it. So think about Batman 655 was a low value first appearance for over a decade, man. Like, you could have got that book left and right. I used to hoard them. I had to go to counseling, and because I was hoarding, Batman 655 and Batman 608 Hush. And so now I'm happy that Damian Wayne is getting this shine, but I digress. Batman Beyond #1 is my #1. Okay, so
it's a good #1.
It's a good #1, and we have that in common. So like, great minds think alike. We both had a Jeff Johns book in our 5, and we both had Batman Beyond in our 5. So that's great. So I before we wrap this up, I know it's the end of the year, we get busy, so I don't know if you had the time to yet, but have you had a chance to tally up your signature stats yet?
Yeah, I did. 75 total signatures for me. That's not a personal best, but it's a lot better than I thought I was going to do. So I met a goal and blew it out of the water. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for me, I was able to tally them up a couple days ago because I knew we were doing this show, and this is going to be the last show of the year, so I want to have the official numbers out there. And so, like, how do we explain this, Tony? So since it's the year, let's explain these signature stats for everybody out there in case they are trying to figure out how to assess their own collection, right? So like, every year you have your books, right? Everybody has their pull that they have, and then if you're a Sig Slayer, then you're out and you're getting a significant amount of that pull signed, throughout the year or throughout the years, right? But then there's books that you've had that's already been signed, and then they're getting signed again because another member of that creative team pops up in the previous year, and so you have to kind of separate the raw signature numbers from the book numbers at times, right? Because you can get so many double ups and triple ups on one book. It's kind of hard to really like see what you did, right? I just wanted to get into the books and the SIGs and to separate the two numbers so that I can see, and then I can kind of see on my own where that increase was at. Like, where are those books that I added to my overall book total that were never signed in the previous year. So my overall numbers, the Sig Slayers overall numbers, books. So these are just the books, not the SIGs. So I got signatures, I should say. I got signatures on 373 different books this year. 373 books just this year. Just the books.
Holy moly.
And so now, I was like, okay, so those are the books, but what about the SIGs? So how many signatures did I get this year? Because that's what it's about. Like a lot of times I want to have one book with at least 3 SIGs on it, and you know, the whole creative team, or 4 signatures on it, right? So this year, your boy hit a record like by a lot. This year, 2023, the Sig Slayers has achieved 513 signatures in 2023. 513.
Wow.
513 individual names on books. Okay.
That's incredible.
Yeah, like it was crazy, and I will tell you this, and this is our year end. So, you know, shout out to all the staff fam out there that made things possible worldwide, I might add, from Italy all the way to California, to Connecticut, all over. It's a complete, you know, honor to be with some of these hardcore collectors at these cons throughout the year. So I just want to shout out my boys for helping me out on some of this stuff. Yeah, man, that's my year. And this was a crazy year. I think I went to more cons this year than ever, and I'm committed to go to even more. I'm committed to do some cons with you, and so yeah. we'll be at Baltimore, you know, living it up, or wherever con you're at, because I'm definitely gonna be in the Northeast and the Southeast in 2024. So it's gonna be a big year, and I'm also gonna have you back to, you know, do some to really talk about the state of affairs in your kingdom, known as Signature Land, right? Like, so we have to, you know, really, you know, keep each other informed about the goings and comings of what's happening, as well as the staff fam. So Tony, thank you very much for ending the year with me. Can you tell the staff fam where they can find your content?
Yeah, on YouTube, obviously, is a big one, the Signature King. If you're really into low-hanging fruit and really terrible edited videos, like, definitely come check me out and watch me struggle. That's always a lot of fun. And also on Instagram, where I'm a little less active, but I'm always in the shadows doing something. Again, that's Signature King on there too. So I've got a few things cooking, so to speak. So definitely stay tuned for more.
Your Highness, thank you once again for joining us, man. Until we meet again, until we have this council, this meeting of the minds, when we're talking about signatures. Thank you so much, man. Well, that's all for our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit the like button. I'm Mike the Sig Slayer, along with Tony, the Signature King. We are out. Peace.